Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode. We are excited today to kick off our summer school success series, which that is a mouthful. But today is part one. We wanted to focus on three things that will help you have summer school success. And today we're kicking it off with part one, which is routine. And this is something that we've talked about a lot before, because with having to do online learning from home, having a routine is crucial. And it becomes even more crucial during summertime, because summertime kind of shakes up the normal routine where maybe if you had younger siblings that were at school and you were doing online school, you don't have you didn't have the distraction of them being home. And now that it's summertime, they're there all the time. And so how do you keep this routine? How do you keep this structure when it's summer school? Because summer school is kind of its own thing. And so we wanted to talk about how routine ties into summer school success for you as a student, and also for you as a parent who is overseeing a student doing summer school.
Not only siblings, but all of your friends who might be in brick and mortar schools are
Yes.
oftentimes off of school and want to hang out during the day and things like that. So it's key to be setting up that routine so that you stay on track for the goals you want to accomplish, and you still are finding that balance so you can spend time with your family and friends. So one thing that we've found that helps people is to, even though it is summer, stay consistent with your wake up times and your bedtimes, because it can be so easy to just say, I'm going to sleep until noon or 1 o'clock in the afternoon and just sleep the whole day away, because it's summer. There's it's a lot more flexible. We don't always have set times to be places and whatnot, but you'll find more success if you can stick with that same general routine that you've been used to, keeping those wake up times and those bedtimes as consistent as possible. Obviously, there's going to be exceptions. But do your best to keep that routine and stick with it.
And I think along those same lines, not only keeping consistent wake up bedtime, but also like the normal everyday activities you do, right? Like take a shower. Don't go for a week without showering just because, hey, it's summer, I don't have to worry about it. Or I went to the pool yesterday, that got me clean enough, keeping keeping consistent with the things that you typically do, with hygiene, with your eating habits, with just all the things. I'm trying to think of another example. Making your bed, keeping your room clean, right? Like consistency is key here. And I know that it's so easy to fall into I'm just going to let it all go because it's summer and it's different. So, but if you can
It's
stay consistent, it will help you.
it's like the same policy that we had during COVID, right? Like, just because everything shut down doesn't mean that you shouldn't still get up and take a shower.
It's the
You
little
still have
things,
to be
right? Like
around
I
your
think
family. Like, they don't want to be smelling you. Take a shower, brush your teeth.
well, yeah, and it's those little things that kind of give you a sense of pride as well in who you are, right? Because yeah, you might not have a reason to get up or get ready for the day because, oh, I just want to take a nap or I don't have anything on the agenda. But if you have summer school, it is flexible and you can set when you want to work on school. So let's say maybe you're better as an afternoon learner. Great. You know that from 1 to 3, I'm going to do school every day. So that means I can set my own morning routine. And that's kind of what we're talking about here, is coming up with a routine to set you up for success. So maybe your morning does start a little bit later than it did during the school year, but still make sure you're taking time for those same things, waking up, eating breakfast, taking a shower, getting your morning workout in, or if you meditate in the morning, or if you read or journal, like keep those habits up is what we're saying, because that's
Mhm.
where the consistency is going to pay off for when the new school year rolls around. Then you're just that much more prepared to just dive right in and not have that slump or that frustration of having to dive into learning again, because you've already been doing it. It's second nature. So kind of takes that frustration off the table when you're transitioning back to school.
Right. And that's a good point that you make, that your schedule doesn't have to look exactly like it did during the school year, because it's just a different time of year. Like we said, friends are, oftentimes wanting to go to the beach or whatever, and that's fine. I think striking a balance is going to be really important during this time of year. Because if you see all of your friends hanging out and you're not taking the time to have that balance in life, where you're taking time for yourself to have fun with your friends or have fun with your family or just do the things that you enjoy doing during the summer, you might have a little bit of that resentment, feeling like you missed out on that too. So obviously keep in mind what your goals are, what you want to accomplish, come up with a schedule that's going to work, that you can stick with. So maybe not too rigorous to where it's something that you won't be able to stick with or you're going to give up easily, but keep it consistent and plan in those breaks into your schedule. And I'm one that I have to have a visual schedule. I use Google Calendar, but I also write stuff down too. I kind of do like a mixed hybrid type of thing, but I mean, I live and die by my Google Calendar. All my appointments are in there, and I do actually combine they're separate calendars, but I combine work with school with other things, personal things. So I can turn certain calendars on and off when I only want to view certain things, but I know that I'm not double booking myself. If you're a student, you might have an appointment with a teacher that you need to put on your calendar and forgot that, oh shoot, I planned time to go do, this other thing with a friend during that time. So consider combining your calendars, even though one is for school and one is personal. But that's the thing I like about Google, is you can just turn it on and off, just like hide it for a second if you just want to see one thing, and it's all color coded and nice. And to me, that helps a lot.
Yeah. And I'm the same way. I have both a digital calendar as well as like a handwritten, I can see it and just glance at my day. So yeah, if that's how you operate, kind of like the example I gave before, I'm going to do school every day from 1 to 3. That's set in my brain. I know that's what I'm going to do. And then I can plan everything else around that. Right. So if you go in with that mentality of sticking to it and having a goal, having an objective, that's a huge part of a routine, right? Because if we have a routine, but we have no purpose behind the routine, then you kind of lose steam to stick with that routine. So if you can also get down to the root as to, why do I need this routine? What am I hoping to accomplish by the end of the summer? I said I was going to finish 2 classes. Okay, what do I have to do to get there? Here's a routine that will help me get there, because I know that I'm sticking to it. That's what I'm going to be doing over the summer. And, again, going back to what you mentioned about balance, right? Like, plan the fun things, get out with friends, get out with family. If there's something you're interested in, let's say you're taking a science class, right? Like, great, go experience nature as well. Get outside, go take a walk, right? And that kind of ties into another important part of a routine, which is the physical activity. Movement is huge. And anybody in the medical and scientific community have written articles and numerous studies on how movement impacts your mental health as well as your physical health, right? And you want to have good mental and physical health to help you keep consistent with school. Because if you're just so burnt out, you're not going to want to sit at a computer for 2 hours to do school. And so having that balance of physical movement, being outside in nature, participating in social activities, those are all important too. We're not saying that, right? Those are all important things, but you have more hours in a day than you realize once you sit down to look at it and block it out, plan it out, show where you're doing school, show where you're doing the social, and you'll be surprised at how much you can accomplish when you actually have your schedule blocked off and you're sticking to it, especially during the summer, even though it's kind of that downtime where you don't necessarily want to be accomplishing something, but by default, if you have a routine, you're going to be accomplishing something.
Think about the phrase that people use when you have money and you're not really consciously thinking about where it's being spent. They say that you're just nickel and diming it, right? You end up with no money at the end of the day and you're like, well, what did I even get? Right? Because you've been just kind of spending it on little things here or there with no real plan for that money. Same thing with your time. You can nickel and dime away your time if you're not deliberate about where you're spending that time. So it's easy just to, whoops, I just spent an hour and a half scrolling on social media without even realizing what you're doing. And it's like, gosh, man, it's, 85, 90 degrees outside. I could have been at the pool or at the beach, but I didn't plan that. I just, if there's no plan for your day, you're just going to nickel and dime away your time, just like you would with your finances, with your money, if you don't have a plan for it. So routines, rhythms, I think it's important to have some level of flexibility and have some grace with yourself in the summer, because things come up unexpected. But if you have general rhythms throughout the day that you just come to rely on, it just gives you that consistency that you need to be productive on a regular basis, and know that yes, there will be exceptions to the rule and things come up, and it's great to have that flexibility that comes along with online schooling. Now, that's what we love about it, because sometimes you get some really cool opportunities that come your way that are unexpected. And in a brick and mortar school, you can't just say, I'm just not going to school today, right? That's not really an option. I guess you could call in sick, but with online school, it's flexible, and that's the beauty of it. But it's up to you to create that routine. Otherwise, it can get away from you really fast.
Yeah, for sure. So, and that's why we're calling this series Summer School Success, right? If you're that student listening, if you're that parent listening that wants your student to have success in summer school, then great. You're here, you have the right mindset, and these are the tools that can help you accomplish that by the end of the summer, right? And that's kind of our hope is, hey, this is what we have seen from our students that is working for them. Keeping a routine, right, is number one. And so that's why that's part one of our series is the routine, the consistency is so crucial and is so important. So for any of you that are listening, let us know in the comments section, what has worked for you? What is good in your routine? How have you seen success? Let's hear the testimonials of how this is working for students in summer school. We'd love to hear any tips you have to share, because then we can share it with others who are also going through the same thing you are. So we'd love to hear from you, our listeners, about what's working and maybe what's not working in a routine.
And schools are different, so Mountain Point Academy, we actually keep our same hours of support throughout the summer as we have all year long throughout the regular school year, throughout fall and spring semester. But some schools might not. So that's something to consider, that if you're not a student of Mountain Point Academy and you're taking summer school elsewhere, you might have to work your routine around that. So that's something that we do. We'll keep the same routine, our live chat, our phones. We'll be here. We'll be here all summer. We get a little break here and there as well, but for the most part, we're fully staffed throughout the summer.
Yeah. So yeah, let us know what's working, what's not. We'd love to hear from you. And join us next week for part 2 of Summer School Success, where we're going to break down the power of experiential learning. And again, this is a topic that we talk about a lot, but it's because it's so cool and it's so important. So join us next week as we talk about that. We'll talk soon.